Hello, Codebase family. Today we are going to take a look at decision making in Python. So let us get right into it. Here I have created a new Python file and you can see decision making at the top there. And we will achieve this using the if, elif, and then else statements in Python. And so let us consider a scenario. Like we are building the algorithm for a game, a racing game. In that case, we will have to move right when the user presses a particular key, let's say the arrow right key, and then when the user presses the arrow left key, we tell the car to move to the left direction. In this case, we are changing the state of our program based on the input that is coming from the user. And that is exactly what decision making allows us to do. It allows us to perform tasks in a certain way or to change our program to behave in a certain way depending on the data available to it or the input from the user. So let us quickly write the car example down and then see how it goes. I'll take input from the users, maybe action, I'll name it action, and then set it to input from the user. In here, I may say enter a key. We want a key from the user to direct our car. And then how we declare the if statement is this. We just write if, and then after the if, the condition comes. So whatever follows the if is the condition that Python will take into consideration, and then the output of that condition will either be true or false. That is a Boolean value. So based on whether it is true or false, if it is true, then the code that comes directly beneath the if statement will be executed. If not, then it will jump to the next block of code. So in our case, we want to determine if action, that is the character that is coming from the user, equal to, and then we do the double equal sign to check for comparison, like equality. We want to compare whether the two values are the same. So in our case, if the value from the user equal to right, then we want to print something to the terminal. Like the car moved right. So the user wants the car to move right, so the car moved right. And then we come to the next block of code. What we call a block of code is from line 8 to line 9. See, that particular line 9 is indented inside. It is not on the same indentation level as the if statement is. That means this whole line 8 and 9 is one block of code. Let us move to the next condition. What if the user does not type right? In that case, what do we do? And that is where the elif statement comes in, which is just to say that else, if the first condition is not fulfilled, then do this one. So that is how we type it, is elif. So elif action, in our case, equal to, and in this case we want it to equal to left. Then we will print again the car moved left. So let us quickly test our code by simply running it and then see what the outcome will be. So we should enter a key, and let me say left for now. And then you see that it prints here that the car moved left. Even though this is the first, the right condition appears before the left condition comes, and we know that Python runs from top to bottom. So ideally it should have executed the top code before it executes the line 10. But that's exactly what it did. But because this line 8 evaluated to false, that the action was not equal to right but left, this code was skipped, this block was skipped, and then this one came into play. So let us run it again, and this time around let us type right. And then now the car moved right. So we have been able to print different information to the terminal based on the input from the user. But of course, this one we have explicitly typed right and then left. But we cannot trust that our users will always type either right or left. So let us see the case where I do not type any of those two conditions that we are looking for. So I'll rerun my code. And then now let me just type up. And then the program executes with exit code 0. That means everything was successful. Whenever we run our program and then the exit code is 0, that means everything was successful. Any number apart from 0, that means we have some warnings or errors in our program. So nothing shows, but the program still runs successfully. And what can be the case here? The case here is that the conditions for app was not declared in our code. And so how do we make sure that the condition app is also catered for? In that case where we cannot write logic for almost all user inputs, we cannot think of all the input that the user will give. That is where the else statement comes to play, which is to tell Python that if all of the above does not evaluate to true, then do what is in the else statement. So if all of the above is false, print something like maybe wrong input. So let us now run it again and then type something that is not in there, the same app we typed again, and then now we get wrong input. That means this one, line 8 and 9, or line 8 were evaluated to false, 10 also evaluated to false, and then it has to check whether there is an else statement. If there is one, then it will fall on the else statement. So that is how decision making works in Python. And let us take another example. Let us try and then build a small command line calculator that will take input from the user, and depending on the operator that the user will select, perform that particular operation. So I'll quickly minimize this place and then try and then get rid of this code. And then we will take two numbers from the user. So number 1 to be equal to input. And then you remember from our previous tutorial that we want an integer value. So we'll convert it to an integer before we even take the input. And then in here, we enter first number. And then I'll duplicate this line with Control D on Windows. I think it should be Command D on Mac. And then here I will change first to second. So we are taking two numbers from the user now. What we are left with is the operator. So the operator that the user would want to use. In this case, either plus, minus, or any of them. This one will just be input because we just want it in a string form. And then enter operator. And then in here, we come and check. We will not check for the numbers because we will definitely use the numbers irrespective of whatever the user does, except the case where the user types an operator that does not exist, where we will not use the number, but we fall on the else statement to display some message to the user that maybe whatever you type does not exist in our code. Here we'll check if this operator equal to, let's check first for plus. So if it equal to plus, then we want to print, and then in here I'll use an F string. If you don't know what these ones are, we have already covered them in the tutorials that come before this one. The link to the playlist will be in the description. Be sure to check it out. The sum of, the sum is, and then in here I'll plug the value number 1 plus number 2. So this one will display the sum for us in case the user types plus for the operation. And what if it's not a plus? So else if, or what Python simplifies it for us into elif operator equal to, and then in this case we check for the minus. If it is a negative, a minus sign, then we want to also print. I think I can do copy this line and then just changing it. We want to print the difference is, and in this case it will be number 1 minus number 2. And then this is the place where we have more than one else if statement that can come between. In fact, there can be 100 of them in between, and then there can just be one also. So depending on the number of conditions you want to check. In our case, I think there will be 2 or 3 in between. Now we want to also check for where the user enters division. I'll duplicate this line and then change this one. We'll use the / for that operation. So if the user types this / we will want to divide the numbers, and then this one, what is that one for division? The sum is difference, the sum, the difference. Okay, let me see the output. I've forgotten what that one should be. Let me see the output is, or the result. The result seems a little better. The result is that. And then we need another one for multiplication. So I'll quickly duplicate this line, and then as for that one, I do remember. So the product is, and then this one will not be asterisk. And then I think we have covered all the basic 4 basic mathematical operators, and here we can bring our else statement to say that if none of this is chosen, then we can print wrong operator chosen. So let us quickly test our code and see how well we are doing. Here we are prompted to enter a first number. I will enter 10 or 10, and the second number should be 4. And then it's asking us whether which operator we want to use. In this case, let me try the plus first, and then we get the sum is 14. Let me bring this one up. If I rerun my code and enter the first number to be 6, the second number to be 3, and then the operator to be, this time, the subtraction, it will tell me the difference is this. And then if I run again, 10, 2, then I put a /, it will tell me that the result is 5.0. We know that the division will always return the float. And then let me rerun it, and then now I will not put anything that we can use in there. So let me make it double / and it tells me that wrong operator has been chosen. So that is it for decision making in Python, how you can change the behavior of your program based on the data available or the user input. And that will be all for this video. Thank you for your time. I'll see you another time with another video.